It's member-supported Hawaii Public Radio, all things considered, and I'm Dave Lawrence. We're here in the Atherton Performing Arts Studio. It's one of my favorite rooms to get to do stuff in, and I'm sure our guests can see why. It's a great diversion from the regular portion of the radio show. Lucky 13, new album from these cats. Chris Duarte is the guitar player sitting over there. Let me see if I can get this right. Yoshi Agasahara. And then John McKnight on the drums. So a nice trio, and welcome. Thank you for being here.
Oh, thank you so much for having us here. And I can't believe I'm on All Things Considered. Oh, my God.
It was fun when we were setting this up. Chris expressed his interest in the program, and that's great. It's a member-supported operation, so it's great to hear that people...
I am a supporter of public radio as well.
Thank
My
you.
local station, WABE in Atlanta, Georgia, but I do support KLRU in Austin as well.
Okay, so you have a couple of them back there.
Yes,
so you're living in
exactly.
Atlanta these days?
In Houston. Well, I live in Atlanta now, but I'm moving back to Austin in late December.
Okay. And Chris is a cat. This is a fun one for me when I saw that you were coming, because I remember when I was just 24 years old and at WBCN in Boston, and there was this new badass blues rock song that we were playing, and this is when alternative had taken over and radio programmers were just throwing out all the old music.
Right, all the grunge stuff was coming out. Yeah,
and it was a weird moment
yeah.
because it was strange. You know, it was like I remember Jerry died and the station didn't know how to deal with it, you know, because we were in the middle of this. But one of the songs on the radio was My Way Down, and it was just a cool song, you know. And so all these years later, I just had to throw that out there as like a real, I feel like I'm 24 again, getting to sit here with you. We're a lot older, but
exactly.
That was a great thing for you to have, and a thing that a lot of people maybe might know Chris by. This is a great story, though, when you first got into music. I don't know if it's something that you guys play as a band, but just hearing of it, it reminds me of my grandmother, Granny Franny, the very first piece of music that inspired you to get into doing what you did. You were, I guess, 8 years old or something like that.
Yeah.
Tell that story.
Well, okay, so it was the network debut of Fiddler on the Roof, and I was living in D.C. at the time. And there's this one scene where there's Fiddler on the Roof, and he's silhouetted, and he saws out that little line, you know, and I thought it was so cool, the whole imagery and everything. This is pre-MTV and stuff with the image and music stuff, but still, it just looked so cool. It made such an impression. So when school started in my third grade, I immediately went to band, and I said, I want to play the violin. I just thought that was the coolest. And they were like, no, we have too many violin players. How about clarinet? So I take a little recommended sheet home to my mom. I said, they recommend clarinet for me. My mom goes, no, we're not having clarinet. So metaphorically, the seed had been planted. And so then it wasn't till I was, my older brother got in a guitar, and I was constantly picking it up. And so that's when I started playing guitar around 14 or 15.
Borrowing his guitar.
Always playing his. But we didn't get in fights. It wasn't the Vaughn brothers thing, the drama that the Vaughn brothers exhibited.
And why'd your mom not want you to do the clarinet?
She didn't want some nasally instrument
around the house,
whining around. And
she was thinking of her own audio,
her own senses there.
Experience to
she
come.
Has 4 other kids she has to deal with too, and one playing the clarinet. Oh my God!
What's when we think of these wonderful cats that you've brought in, when we think of the early period of your life, what's a real early song that you maybe played a long time ago that you still play that maybe we can warm up these cats with here?
One of the probably just a shuffle, probably early shuffle and stuff. Yeah, I'm trying to think of one of the really early songs that I play.
Yeah, just something these cats would be familiar
I'd say,
with.
You know, like Big Leg Woman. I used to play Big Leg Woman when I was with Bobby Mack and Night Train when I was like 18 or 19 years old. And then when I recorded that, the first album, it's not really the lyrics of the song. Of course, we still gave the credit to Leon Russell and Charlie Blackwell. But still, it's like my own verse. It's my own sort of lyrics that it sort of morphed into it. So we can do that song. It's always a fun song.
I'd love to hear that.
Go.
Chris Duarte, live, HPR's Atherton Performing Arts Studio.
told you twice. Big-legged woman gonna get the red beans and rice. Big-legged woman with shut the mini skirt on. Promise me, darling, you make me feel like dirt. I told you once, and I told you twice. Big-legged woman, treat me like I'm a big-legged woman with just a mini skirt on. Promise me, darling, you make me feel like dirt. Ashes to ashes, dust to dust. You are the one that caused the first. 'Cause I'm big-legged woman with just a mini skirt on. And promise me, darling, you make me feel like the big-legged woman, big-legged woman, big-legged woman, big-legged woman. Promise me, darling, you make me feel like dirt. saw your leg, then I saw your skirt, then I saw the color of your hair, and white jumper shirt, you big-legged woman with your mini skirt on. Promise me, darling, make me feel like dirt. I saw your leg, then I saw your skirt, then I saw the color of your hair. Why jump out of my shirt, back into women, shut your mini skirt on. Promise me, darling, make me feel like dirt. Big-legged woman, big-legged woman, big-legged woman, big-legged woman. Promise me, darling, you make me feel like dirt.
Chris Duarte, live, HPR's Atherton Performing Arts Studio. I can see why you're so passionate to this day. It's really, what a great guitar player you are. You're so entertaining to watch, and just reminds me why I love that instrument, to see you
Oh, well, thank. Well,
hitting that thing.
It's the music that should, as in with all of us here on playing right now, it's the music that moves us, and that's
clear.
how it should be played, really, I think.
It's very clear. Yoshi Ogasahara on the bass, John McKnight on drums, joining Chris Duarte here. Lucky 13, latest album. Interesting thing about you, obviously anyone listening to you likes the guitar, might say it's similar to Stevie. It really reminds me, it makes me feel good the way Stevie Ray Vaughan might have. And similar to him, Austin became an adopted hometown, right? He was born in Dallas, ended up there. You're born in San Antonio, you ended up there. And when I hear your style, I just can't help but think. I know that I get the older brother brings the guitar to you. So following in the story, talk about the influences, where you develop some of that playing style, and perhaps any encounters, whether seeing him in concert or just listening to Stevie Ray Vaughan.
Well, definitely. It was the cats that were around there, like Derek O'Brien. I used to go watch him play all the time. And Derek was actually on Stevie's tour during the Couldn't Stand the Weather days. He was like at the very beginning of that tour. Derek was the second guitarist on that tour. Yeah, and they played like that, and everybody, and then Chesley Milligan at the time was his manager, and he was like, what are you doing? You got another guitar player with you? Are you crazy, But of course, they grew up together, basically, musically. They matured together. So I used to go watch Derek all the time. David Murray was one of my favorite guys. I used to go watch. Me and him used to hang around all the time because I was like this jazz head guy. I was like, I want to play Allen Holdsworth and Al Di Meola. And I had no idea what it was about to really play the tone, let the tone play you, and I just had no idea about that. So these guys really took me under the wing. And Denny Freeman, watching all these cats that were so available and accessible at the time, just at clubs, Stevie was already getting pretty popular, but I did manage to see Stevie one time at the Continental Club when he was doing fairly well, just right on the cusp of getting big.
That's cool. So before so that was several hundred people? What's the size?
Oh, no, not even that many. There was probably about 50, 60 people there, but still, that was a lot of people at, the second set at the Continental Club, and they were still charging $4, and that was like, $4? Are you crazy? I drink here all the time. I'm not paying $4. I don't care if it's Stevie, But, and the T-Birds were really the big group at the time. Like, 1980, 1981, they were the big group. But, of course, when Texas Flood came out, that
changed the equation.
Changed. Right.
Everything. Yeah, I was going to ask where Jimmy fit into your influence.
Jimmy's also great. Just the minimalist approach, And everybody says the old adage of Jimmy's only playing, this much, and everybody holds up their thumb and forefinger, and just the sliver of light comes through there, and that's all he's playing, man. You should know what he knows how to play, man. You just don't know, But still, Jimmy's one of my heroes. And when we were here in the islands last year, I was here. I got to tell them all that, and Luann, I got to sit around with Luann. I used to hang around Luann, but I never really talked to her. But, it was so cool. And I just told them I so revere. I knew I was the long-haired kid with all the pedals and playing crazy stuff, but I so revered them. They were my heroes, and they're still my heroes.
He's a wonderful guy. Very nice man.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Jimmy's great.
Tells great stories, and it's wonderful to hear your kind words for him. You mentioned it, you're equally as influenced by jazz, and John Coltrane seems to be this huge force in your life. How old were you?
Train's my man. That's the top of the heap for me.
And you were how old when you got into John?
I was probably getting around 16.
Interesting.
16, 17.
It's a nice merger of tastes at that time.
When I moved to Austin, I was 17. I was just starting to listen to jazz stuff, and of course I was going through my prog rock phase. I just went through this huge Yes phase. I still love Yes, and I was playing all these Yes songs and doing that, and then Al Di Meola's Land of the Midnight Sun. I was totally taken with that album.
Was Steve Howe a favorite?
Oh, Steve Howe was one of my heroes. In fact, the reason I bought a 175 is because Steve Howe played one. I'd see him in Guitar Player magazine. He won like the best overall guitar player, 5-10 years in a row. So, he was one of my first guitar heroes. First it went, Tony Iommi from Black Sabbath.
Hello.
Of course. Of course. Hello.
We
Sabbath,
share
Bloody
that.
Sabbath. Yeah, man. I love it. And Technical Ecstasy, great album. It is a great album.
Dirty Women, one of the great songs.
Rock
Gypsy.
and Roll Doctor, Gypsy, yeah.
Love that album.
Here we go. So anyway, and my brother got to see him on that tour, and I'm still mad he got to see him. I did see him on the Never Say Die tour. Okay, but I digress.
That's cool. With VH opening?
Yeah, actually, yes, they did open. That's right.
What a
Yeah.
double bill.
Yeah,
Look
it was
at
great.
you over there.
Yeah, man, that was a San Antonio Joe Freeman Coliseum. Yeah. that's
78.
Yeah,
Never
yeah,
say die tour. Look
So
at you.
anyway, so we digress. Anyway, but I mean, Tony Iommi, then Steve Howe, then Al Di Meola, then Holdsworth, but then Coltrane sort of fit in there. But then when I got in Bobby McKnight Train, like probably 1980, that's when I sort of changed gears because I always was a snob, blues 145. How hard can it be? Pff, please. And then when he said, well, I want you to start learning this, and he gave me Freddie King's solo off Pulpwood. I had to learn that. And when I started playing, it's like, I sound nothing like this. This is...
But you learn from things like that.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, that's Bobby Mack helped me sort of learn the shuffles. Then we had another drummer, Jimmy Pate, was in the band, and he taught me how to play shuffles correctly.
What would be a nice thing you think that would fit into the set right now based on the things we're talking about and what you think these guys might like?
More shuffle. I think a shuffle sort of thing would do it. So we'll do like a shuffle because that's the stuff. That's the stuff I learned how to play from Jimmy Pate. And how to and what being a sideman for most of my career before. I mean, I was a sideman for like 12, 13 years before I started doing my own thing. And so that taught me how to support players and to learn how to play with the keyboard players so you don't step on their range and stuff like that.
And to just diversify your playing style itself. I really like the way the lesson that you picked up there with the Freddie King work.
Oh, definitely. I mean,
and
then also, and then there's many facets. It's a very nuanced conversation we can have about what the environment you're playing in.
Right. Which influences it too.
Right.
All right, well, let's hear it, man. We've got Chris Duarte and the guys here. It's HPR's Atherton Performing Arts.
Make you feel all right. Make me feel so right. I don't ever want to leave a little baby. You make me feel so right. Going out into the boardwalk in your pretty summer dress, around to show your backs. I can't believe I got the best. So right. Make me feel so right. I don't ever want to leave a little baby. You make me feel so right. I take you to the movie, a Broadway show. I buy you chocolate covered candy in a big pink bow. And if I got no money, my wallet's light. I'm walking in the store till the pale moonlight. What's it, that little darling? Tell you what to do. I'll be your man forever, one lie that way to you. So right, make me feel so right. I don't ever want to leave you, little baby. You make me feel so right. My true love can't deny, yes indeed. Wanna get together, then I get on bended knee. So right, make me feel so right. don't ever want to leave me, little baby. You make me feel so right. I swing you in the sunny, swing you in the night. Two of us together, you make me feel so right, so right. Make me feel so right. I never want to leave you, little baby. You make me feel so right. I take you to the movie, a Broadway show. I buy you chocolate cup for candy in a big bowl. And if I got the money, wallet's light, walking in the dark till the bell.
Chris Duarte, live, HPR's Atherton Performing Arts Studio. John McKnight on drums. Cajon, is that what that's called?
Cajon, that's right.
You like that, Jason? Jason Taglianetti, our engineer, providing the percussion today. Yoshi Ogasahara on the bass, and Lucky 13, latest album from you. And something that's coming up, something that's interesting when you take a look at your website. And you have a big tour of Japan coming up, right? I mean,
yeah, thanks to the people over there in Japan, Kyo Tsuda-san and Yoshi, the efforts they do. They actually hook us up with a lot of towns over there, so I'm very grateful for their efforts.
Where did your relationship with Japan begin? You also do some recording. I mean, you've toured with the Bluestone. I forget the name of the...
Right, Bluestone, yeah, 396, the album there. Yeah, Bluestone used to be a group that was very popular in Japan, Savoy Truffle. And because of family obligations, their singer had to leave and take over the family business. And so they were without a singer. And at the time, I was hooked up with my then third wife, Tomomi Hamamura, and she was like running the fan club for them in America. And she just suggested, well, how about Chris Duarte? Because Texas Sugar actually did fairly well over in Japan back in 95. And I did a tour with Buddy Guy over in 95. And so I had like a small toehold. They knew about me over in Japan. So we thought it was a natural sort of put together thing there. We augmented here together our talents. And so we'd do some Savoy Truffle tunes, and then we'd do some of my tunes. And then we started to collaborate musically and started to write songs, and that's when we did the album. But it turned out to be a very good thing, you know, getting over there.